You're wrong, Lisa is human. And that captain may be exactly why they took her. The chase begins within minutes. Jake, Amy, Ryan, and Lyra boarded a sleek Superior strike craft. The ship's crystalline controls adjusted automatically to Jake's neural patterns, syncing to his thoughts. Thane, Lyra's military commander, intercepted them at the hangar bay. This is a mistake. Princess, Thane snapped, his jaw tight. You're risking the entire empire over primitives we barely understand. Jake stepped forward, his voice cold. Call us primitives one more time, and I'll show you just how dangerous we can be. Lyra raised a hand, silencing both men. Enough, we leave now. The strike craft launched into the cold void, stars streaking by as it accelerated at impossible speeds. Lyra stood at the command console, her voice calm but sharp as she plotted a pursuit vector. They'll be heading to the Veil Rift, she said. Ryan frowned. And what exactly is a Veil Rift? A dimensional scar, Lyra replied. The Erendril use it to hide their ships in folded space. Once Lisa crosses that threshold, no one has ever come back. Jake's jaw tightened. Then we're breaking that rule. Inside the rift as they approached the swirling Veil Rift, space distorted into shimmering waves of violet and silver energy. The Superior scanners screamed warnings, but Jake pushed the ship forward, cutting through gravity currents and magnetic storms until they emerged into the graveyard. Hundreds, maybe thousands of shattered Superior warships floated silently in the rift, their crystal hulls cracked open like broken glass, drifting through fields of cold starlight. Amy's breath caught. This is a massacre. Lyra's expression hardened. This was the last time we fought the Ascendancy. 10,000 cycles ago. Before Jake could respond, the ship's AA pulsed a warning. Signature-locked Erendril vessel DETCT on the display. A massive structure emerged from the swirling mists. Not a ship, but something alive. Its black, biomechanical surface pulsed. Like muscle and bone fused with metal, glowing faintly with alien symbols, Ryan whispered, "That thing is breathing." Lyra's voice was sharp. "That is an Erendril dreadnought, and Lisa is inside it?" The prisoner, meanwhile. Lisa awoke inside a cold, dimly lit chamber. Translucent restraints bound her arms and legs, and strange glyphs burned faintly along the walls. Before her stood an Erendril overseer, a tall, skeletal figure wrapped in flowing obsidian armor. Its face was smooth and featureless except for two glowing crimson slits where eyes should have been. A voice slithered into her mind, bypassing her ears entirely. "You are the key." Lisa shook her head, trembling. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just a comms officer." The alien tilted its head slightly as though amused. "Your species was not meant to survive, yet you did. You carry fragments, ancient code, hidden in your blood." Lisa's eyes widened, horrified. "Code? In me?" "Not just you," the voice whispered like silk and steel. "All humans." The betrayal back aboard the strike craft, Lyra and Jake prepared a boarding maneuver when suddenly alarms blared. "Multiple ships incoming!" Amy shouted. Jake scanned the display. 3 Superior warships had just dropped out of hyperspace, weapons armed. And they were locking onto them. Jake's stomach sank. "Wait, those are your ships. Why the hell are they targeting us?" Lyra turned sharply, disbelief flashing in her silver eyes. "That's impossible." Then Thane's voice came over the "Come," cold and sharp. "Princess Lyra, by order of the High Council, you are relieved of command. The humans are to be surrendered to the Ascendancy immediately." Jake froze. "Your own people are betraying us?" Lyra's face was pale but furious. "Not just us. Me." Amy slammed her fist on the console. "We don't have time for this. Lisa's running out of time." Jake gritted his teeth. "We're not giving her up. Not to the Ascendancy. Not to your council. Not to anyone." Lyra turned toward him, her silver eyes burning brighter than ever. "Then we fight." The final push. The strike craft banked hard as Jake and Lyra wove through incoming plasma fire from their own fleet. Ryan manned the secondary cannons, blasting apart Superior drones while Amy rerouted power into the shields. The Arundel dreadnought loomed ahead, its living hull shifting like a colossal predator sensing prey. Lyra looked at Jake. We only get one chance. We breach their hull, rescue your friend, and destroy whatever the Ascendancy wants with her? Jake nodded grimly. Then let's make it count. The ship plunged toward the dreadnought, shields screaming, engines roaring, and as they approached, the alien vessel's surface began to open like a living maw, hundreds of crimson tendrils. Reaching for them, Jake tightened his grip on the controls and whispered under his breath, "Hold on, Lisa. We're coming for you." Asterisk, the Zephyrian strike craft dived into the living jaws of the Arundel dreadnought, the alien tendrils scraping against the ship's shields as warning sirens screamed. Shields at 42%. Amy shouted over the roar of the engines. Ryan's hands danced across the weapons console, firing pulse cannons into the writhing biomass around them. "I'm giving it everything we've got, Cap, but this thing doesn't die." Jake gritted his teeth, pushing the ship harder, weaving through the crimson appendages that lashed out like serpents. Lisa was inside this nightmare, and he wasn't. Leaving without her, Princess Lyra stood steady beside him, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. Her hand hovered over a crystalline control, fingers trembling just slightly. Jake caught it instantly. "You're nervous." Lyra didn't. "Look at him. Not nervous, Captain." Her voice was calm, but cold, terrified. Lisa's awakening inside the dreadnought. Lisa's body floated in zero gravity, trapped in a cylindrical chamber filled with faint, glowing mist. Bioluminescent tendrils pulsed around her, connecting into her skin. She could feel something crawling through her blood. The featureless Arundel overseer stood before her, its voice bypassing sound entirely, resonating directly inside her mind. "Your kind was forbidden." Lisa strained against the restraints, her voice trembling. "I don't understand." The alien tilted its elongated head. 50,000 cycles ago, the Arundel purged this sector. Every world burned, every genome erased. Yet your species survived? You should not exist, and yet you do. Lisa's breathing quickened, panic rising. "We evolved on Earth. We're not connected to you." The overseer's crimson slits pulsed brighter, almost like a smile. "Wrong. Humans are not an accident. You are a failsafe." Lisa's mind reeled. "Failsafe? For what?" "For us," the overseer whispered into her mind. "You are the weapon we could not destroy, because we built you." The breach outside, Jake and Lyra's strike craft locked onto the dreadnought's hull, firing quantum breaching charges. The living surface screamed as the charges detonated, peeling. "Open a jagged entry point. Go." Jake barked, slinging his plasma rifle across his shoulder. The boarding team launched into the dark corridor of the dreadnought. The walls were alive. Veins of black ichor pulsed faintly beneath translucent tissue, and the entire structure thrummed like the heartbeat of some ancient beast. Ryan muttered under his breath, "This isn't a ship." "It's a corpse they turned into one," Amy shuddered. "Let's just find Lisa and get the hell out of here." Lyra walked ahead, her fingers tracing alien runes carved into the walls. Her expression was unreadable, but Jake noticed the faint tremor in her hands. "You've seen this before," Jake said quietly. Lyra didn't look at him. "In ancient records. The dreadnoughts aren't ships. They're arcs, vessels carrying the last fragments of Arundel knowledge." Jake frowned. "Knowledge or weapons?" Lyra finally looked at him, her silver eyes sharp as blades. "Both." The chamber of echoes. They reached a massive chamber, spherical, layered in thousands of shifting glyphs that glowed faintly when Jake stepped inside. At the center of the room floated Lisa, suspended in the cylindrical pod, her eyes half open, and glowing faintly with golden light. "Lisa!" Amy screamed, rushing forward, but Lyra grabbed her arm. "Don't touch her!" The princess warned sharply. Jake aimed his rifle at the pod. "What's happening to her?" Lyra's voice was soft, but the weight of her words crushed the room. "She's activating." Jake turned sharply. "Activating what?" Lyra hesitated, then finally said it, "The origin code." The truth about humanity before Jake could react. The Arendral Overseer materialized from the shadows, its black armor glinting under the eerie glow. Humans were seated, it said, its telepathic voice washing over them like a storm. Not evolved, not random. Your DNA carries a construct, a signal, buried deep within the spiral of your blood. Jake's grip on his rifle tightened. Why, Lisa? Why now? Her genome carries the final fragment, the Overseer replied. The failsafe, the weapon. When activated, it will awaken what sleeps beneath your world. Jake's breath caught. Beneath Earth? Lyra's silver eyes widened with realization. No, not beneath Earth, Captain. Inside it. The betrayer revealed suddenly. Gunfire erupted from above. Zephyrian soldiers rappelled into the chamber, led by none other than Commander Thane. Jake spun, furious. You followed us? Thane raised his weapon, aiming it straight at Lisa. Step away from the pod, human. The High Council ordered us to secure the origin code. The princess doesn't command here anymore. Lyra stepped forward, her voice sharp as ice. Thane, stand down. That's an order. Thane's face was cold, unyielding. I serve the Ascendancy now. Jake cursed under his breath. Knew I hated this guy. Thane smirked, finger tightening on the trigger, but before he could fire, the entire chamber erupted in a wave of golden energy from Lisa's pod, throwing everyone violently to the ground. Lisa. Isn't Lisa anymore? The restraints dissolved? And Lisa slowly lowered to the ground, her feet touching the living floor. Her eyes glowed bright gold. And when she spoke, it wasn't her voice. Protocol Prime. Unlocked, Jake staggered to his feet, heart pounding. Lisa? She turned her head slowly toward him, her expression blank and inhuman. I am not Lisa. The Arendral. Overseer dropped to one knee before her, bowing its head. At last, the architect awakens. Jake stared, stunned, while Lyra whispered in shock. The architect designed humanity. Lisa, or whatever she had become, raised a hand, and the entire dreadnought came alive. Its walls pulsing like a heart beginning to beat after 10,000 years. The war had just changed. Asterisk. This is where everything explodes politically, emotionally, and literally. Lisa, now bonded with the Architect Protocol, begins unlocking Forbidden's powers. Jake has to choose between saving his friend or stopping something that could end all intelligent life in the galaxy. Princess Lyra faces a Zephyrian civil war, and Earth's darkest secret finally comes to light. I'll make Part 6 cinematic, intense, and deeply emotional, perfect for an HFY YouTube audience. First Contact, Princes of the Stars. Part 6. The Architect's Return. The chamber trembled violently, and an impossible golden light poured from Lisa's body, rippling across the walls of the Arendral dreadnought. The living metal groaned, veins of energy lighting up like a heart awakening after 10,000 years. Jake shielded his eyes, heart pounding. Lisa, stop this. Whatever's happening, fight it. But the woman floating before him wasn't Lisa anymore. Her pupils were gone, her eyes solid gold, and her voice carried two tones at once, one human, one ancient and alien. Protocol Prime online. Substrate override initiated. Lyra took a cautious step forward, her silver eyes wide, with awe and fear. Captain, she whispered, do you understand what this means? Jake gritted his teeth. No, and right now, I don't care. I just want my crew back. The Arendral Overseer stepped into the golden glow, lowering its head in reverence. The Architect returns at last. The truth about humanity. Jake aimed his plasma rifle at the Overseer. Somebody start explaining. Right now, the Overseer tilted its head, its voice bypassing sound entirely, pouring directly into Jake's mind. 50,000 cycles ago, the Arendral faced extinction. Our greatest minds encoded a failsafe, a species designed to survive beyond our fall. Jake's chest tightened. You're saying humans? Yes, the Overseer replied. You are our legacy, engineered to inherit the stars. Your DNA carries fragments of our origin code, but hers, it pointed at Lisa, hers carries the master key. Amy swallowed hard. That's why you took her. Lyra's gaze was fixed on Lisa, realization dawning in her expression. The High Council knew, she said bitterly. That's why? The Ziperian Empire has always monitored primitive sectors. We weren't looking for threats. We were looking for you. Jake's stomach dropped. All this time, Earth's been bait. The awakening beneath Earth suddenly, the chamber's holographic walls shifted, displaying an enormous golden sphere deep within Earth's mantle, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. Lisa's voice, layered and alien, resonated across the chamber. Signal confirmed. Origin node active. Ryan stared at the hologram in disbelief. Wait, that's inside Earth? Lyra's expression was grim. Not inside, buried. Your planet has been sitting on a planet killer, Captain. A weapon older than my empire. Older than the Arendril themselves. Jake clenched his fists. And you knew? Lyra shook her head. No, this was erased from our archives. Someone didn't want this truth found. The Overseer's crimson tendrils flexed, reaching toward Lisa. The architect is awakening the Gaia engine. When it reaches full synchronization, all non-human DNA in this galaxy will be erased. Jake's breath caught. You mean... Yes, the Overseer whispered. Every alien species will die. Civil war among the Ziperians ere Jake could respond. Blaster fire erupted from the upper levels of the chamber. Ziperian soldiers stormed in from opposite entrances, Princess Lyra's royal guard on one side, and Commander Thane's Ascendancy loyalists on the other. Lyra shouted over the chaos, "Thane, stand down! That's an order!" Thane's eyes burned with fanatic devotion. You're blinded by sentiment, Princess. The humans are a plague, a weapon disguised as flesh. The High Council decreed the Origin must never awaken. Jake aimed his rifle at Thane. And killing Lisa is your... solution? Thane sneered. It's the only solution. Blaster bolts lit up the chamber. Lyra's guards formed a wall around her, deflecting fire with shimmering energy crescents from their crystalline blades. The Ascendancy troops retaliated, forcing Jake and Amy to dive for cover. Ryan yelled from behind a console, "Cap! If we don't stop them, one stray shot's gonna hit Lisa. And I don't think any of us want to know what happens if that pod breaks." Jake cursed under his breath. Damn it, Lyra, we need a ceasefire now. Lyra slammed her staff into the ground, releasing a shockwave of shimmering silver light that froze every Ziperian weapon mid-discharge. The plasma bolts hung motionless in the air. Lyra's voice thundered across the chamber. Enough! Anyone who fires again dies by my hand. For the first time, Thane hesitated. Lisa speaks. In the sudden silence, Lisa slowly turned toward Jake. Her expression was empty. No emotion, no humanity. Captain Jake Morrison. Jake's chest tightened. Lisa, you will return. To Earth, the Gaia engine requires synchronization. It cannot be delayed. Jake stepped forward, his voice sharp with anger and desperation. No, listen to me. You're not some ancient machine. You're Lisa. You're part of my crew. You saved my life on Triton Base. You taught me how to fix the cum relays when I had no clue what I was doing. You're not just a key. For a moment, something flickered in her golden eyes. Then she whispered, barely audible, Jake? But before he could reach her, the Overseer hissed, severing the fragile moment. The architect must fulfill its function. Nothing else matters. Lisa raised her hand, and the entire dreadnought vanished in a burst of light. The new war begins when Jake's vision cleared. He was no longer on the Arendril ship. He was standing on the bridge of the Explorer. But outside the viewport, Earth loomed closer than he'd ever seen it. Alarms blared. The navigation computer screamed warnings. Proximity alert! The Gaia engine, the golden sphere buried deep inside Earth, had activated. Energy waves rippled across the planet, broadcasting signals into deep space. Within minutes, Ziperian fleets decloaked around Earth, forming a blockade. Behind them, other species began arriving, warriors, scavengers, opportunists, every alien. Empire in the sector had heard the same thing. The Origin weapon has awakened. And somewhere deep beneath Earth's crust, something older than humanity itself was beginning to stir. The stars above Earth were no longer peaceful. Dozens of fleets from 20 alien empires encircled the planet like vultures waiting to strike. Zephyrian warships floated like crystal titans, shimmering under the light of Sol. Massive Arundel dreadnoughts pulsed with living metal. Smaller scavenger fleets prowled between them, eager to claim whatever remained after the inevitable slaughter. But at the center of it all, deep beneath Earth's crust, the Gaia engine, a golden sphere larger than the moon, had awakened. Its pulses distorted gravity itself, sending ripples across space-time. On board the Explorer, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, fists clenched, watching the madness unfold. 32 fleets, Cap, Ryan whispered from the pilots. Chair, every single one of them here for Lisa. Or the weapon inside Earth. Jake's voice was grim. No, they're not just here for Lisa. They're here because they know what the Gaia engine can do. Princess Lyra stood beside him, her silver eyes reflecting the chaos outside. They believe humanity is the key to controlling the weapon or stopping it. Either way, you've become the most valuable species in the galaxy. Jake's jaw tightened. We didn't ask for this war. Lyra's voice dropped, soft but steady. War doesn't care what you ask for. Inside the Gaia engine, far below the surface of Earth, inside the Gaia core, Lisa floated within a cocoon of golden light. Her body no longer entirely human. Threads of living energy crawled beneath her skin, and her hair glimmered faintly as if woven from sunlight itself. Her eyes opened, glowing brighter than a newborn star. The voices in her mind, thousands of them, spoke in perfect harmony. Architect online, accessing legacy protocols. Asterisk, she remembered Jake. She remembered the Explorer. She remembered laughing with Amy over broken engines, late-night music, coffee on the observation deck. And yet, she remembered other things too. Wars fought across galaxies, planets burned into glass. Entire species engineered, enslaved, and erased. Lisa wasn't just human anymore. She was the architect, the last surviving fragment of the ancient Arundel consciousness that had created humanity itself, and the Gaia engine wasn't just a weapon. It was a failsafe, the ultimatum on the Explorer's bridge. An incoming transmission cut through the tension. The Zephyrian High Council's holographic emissary appeared, tall, elegant, its crystalline armor shimmering. Princess Lyra, Captain Morrison. Surrender the human called Lisa. Do this, and Earth will be spared. Jake stepped forward, fury in his voice. Spared? You surround my planet with enough firepower to erase it from history, and you call that mercy? The emissary's tone didn't waver. The Gaia engine cannot be allowed to activate. If the architect achieves full control, every non-human species will die. We will burn your world to its core before we let that happen. Then so be it. The transmission cut. Outside, Zephyrian fleets shifted into attack formations. Other alien factions moved into position, weapons arming. The tension snapped like a wire under pressure. The first shot was seconds away. The return of the Arundel. Suddenly, Earth itself spoke. A low, resonant vibration rolled through space, deep enough to shake entire fleets. The Gaia engine pulsed violently, sending shockwaves across the system, and then the impossible happened. Hundreds of colossal organic starships emerged from hyperspace, their forms shimmering like liquid shadows. The CUM system exploded with overlapping transmissions from every fleet in orbit. Impossible. The Arundel are extinct. This is impossible. But they weren't extinct. The Arundel hadn't died. They had been sleeping inside the Gaia engine for 50,000 years, waiting for the architect to awaken them. And now, Lisa, standing at the heart of the Gaia core, had done exactly that. The first strike, the Arundel dreadships fired first. Golden lances of quantum plasma tore through the Zephyrian front lines, shredding crystal hulls like paper. Alien fleets scattered, engaging in chaotic, desperate battle inside the Explorer. Alarms screamed, shields at 65%. Amy shouted over the roar of explosions. One hit from those dreadships and we're done. Jake gritted his teeth. Ryan, break us free of the crossfire. Lyra, tell me you've got a plan. Lyra's voice was steady, but her expression was grim. I might, but you're not going to like it. Jake snapped, say it. Lyra hesitated for half a second, then whispered, We have to kill Lisa before the architect completes synchronization. Jake froze. No, absolutely not, Lyra's silver eyes burned. If we don't, every non-human species in the galaxy dies, including my people, including me. The choice Jake stood at the viewport, staring at the chaos outside, Superior fleets burning, Arendril dreadships awakening, scavenger raiders swarming through the chaos like vultures dot and deep below. Lisa was calling to him, her voice threading into his mind like a faint whisper. Jake. Help me, he clenched his fists. No one touches her. Not Superians, not Arendril, not anyone. Lyra's hand landed softly on his shoulder. Then we have to reach her before they do. Jake turned to his crew. Prepare for a planetary. Drop, Ryan blinked. Wait, Cap, you're saying we're diving into Earth's core? Jake smiled grimly. Exactly. Gaia's heart, final scene. The explorer plummeted through Earth's atmosphere, streaking like a comet toward the massive rift opening above the Gaia engine. Inside the core, Lisa stood before a control lattice of light, her golden form flickering. Between human and alien, the architect's voice whispered through her lips. Substrate synchronization, 94%. Complete. Suddenly, a wave of silver energy erupted around her, as if the entire planet had begun to breathe. Across the battlefield above, ships were torn apart, engines died, and weapons failed. The Gaia engine was choosing, and Jake realized in that moment that the architect wasn't deciding who would live. It was deciding who would inherit the galaxy. To be continued. Season 2, The Children of Gaia. What we set up for Season 2. Lisa is now fully bonded with the architect protocol, making her both human and alien. The Gaia engine has awakened, and its power is rewriting the rules of galactic life. The Arendril have returned from extinction, triggering a three-way war between humans, Zepyrians, and Arendril forces. Jake's crew will become the key players in deciding whether humanity becomes the heirs of the galaxy or its executioners. 3 days after the battle above Earth, the wreckage of alien fleets still drifted through Sol's orbit like dead leaves on a black ocean. Thousands of ships reduced to silence. Millions of lives erased. And yet, the war had only just begun. The new humanity Lisa stood barefoot on the surface of the Gaia core, her glowing golden form reflected in the liquid lattice beneath her. Her eyes were no longer fully human, their irises now fractal, shimmering like miniature supernovas. Jake, Ryan, Amy, and Princess Lyra stood several meters away, weapons lowered but ready, staring at her like she was a stranger. Lisa! Jake whispered, stepping forward carefully. You have to talk to me. Tell me you're still you. She tilted her head slightly, as if the concept of Lisa was something she was trying to remember. I remember you, Jake. I remember Earth. I remember love. Her voice was soft, too soft. But then her tone shifted, layered with something inhuman. But I also remember 37,000 wars, the extinction of 1,200 species, and the purpose of humanity's design. Ryan frowned, confused. Purpose? What purpose? Lisa turned to him, her expression unreadable. You were made to replace us. The words hung heavy in the silence. Lyra's face went pale. Replace who? Lisa's eyes flared brighter, golden light spilling across the chamber. The Arendril. My people, your people. All of us. Humanity wasn't born. You were built as a contingency plan. Jake stepped closer, his voice rough. A contingency for what? Lisa finally turned to him fully, and when she spoke, the weight of her words shook the chamber itself. For the great collapse, it's coming, and only one species will survive it. The gathering storm above Earth, alien fleets regrouped in uneasy silence. The Zepyrian High Council declared a temporary ceasefire after losing half their forces to the returning Arendril. But new fleets were already on the move, scavengers, warlords, mercenary houses, and something far darker, because the activation of the Gaia engine hadn't just awakened the ERYNDR, it had sent a signal across the far edges of the galaxy. Something ancient, something the Arendril themselves had fled from, had heard the call, and it was coming, the rift event. While Jake's crew argued in the core, the explorer's sensors went wild. Amy's voice burst through comms, panicked. Cap, you need to see this. Something's tearing open just beyond Jupiter's orbit. They raced back aboard the explorer. On the bridge, the holographic display showed a massive distortion in space. A wound in reality itself, Ryan squinted. That's not a wormhole. Lyra's voice was low, terrified. No, that's a rift, a pathway into higher dimensional space. Jake frowned. Meaning what? Lyra swallowed hard. Meaning something on the other side just noticed us. Then, without warning, 3 titanic shapes crawled out of the rift. They weren't ships. They weren't even alive, at least not in any way the crew understood. They were Oblivion constructs, biomechanical nightmares the size of moons, built by the Vanth Dominion, a race so old their history was carved into neutron stars. Lisa gasped softly, her voice distant. No, it's too soon. Jake spun toward her. Lisa, what the hell are they? She whispered the words like a curse. They're harvesters, and they've come for me. Asterisk, the betrayal before anyone could act, the explorer's comms lit up with an encrypted signal. It was from Admiral Kellen, commander of the United Earth Defense Grid. Jake, by order of the Terran High Council, you are ordered to surrender Lisa immediately. We've made a deal with the Zepyrians. They'll spare Earth if we hand her over. Jake stared at the transmission, stunned. You made a deal with the people who tried to burn our planet? Kellen's voice was cold. This isn't your call anymore, Captain. Deliver her, or Earth dies. Lisa stepped forward, her glow dimming. Jake, if they hand me over, the harvesters will follow me. Earth will die anyway. Jake gritted his teeth, torn between duty and loyalty. Lyra's voice cut through the tension. Morrison, think carefully. If Lisa falls into their hands, it won't just be Earth at risk. It'll be every species. The Gaia engine isn't just a weapon. It's a key. Whoever controls Lisa controls reality itself. Ryan slammed his fists on the console. So, we run? Jake's jaw tightened. No, we fight. The Battle of Jupiter's Edge, final scene. The explorer accelerated hard toward Jupiter, engines screaming, while thousands of alien ships clashed. With the 3 colossal harvesters near the rift laser storms. Nuclear torpedoes, living plasma cannons, space itself burned. Entire fleets were swallowed whole by dimensional tears. In the chaos, Lisa touched the console, merging her mind directly with the ship. The Gaia engine's energy surged through her veins, making her glow like a newborn star. Jake, she whispered, her voice distant and powerful. I can hold them back. But only for a little while. Do it, he ordered, gripping the controls. Lisa raised her hand. Across space, a planetary shield erupted from the Gaia engine, stretching from Earth to the orbit of Mars, blocking the harvester's advance. The entire system trembled under the strain, but Lisa's body began to falter. Her light flickered. Jake, she whispered faintly. If I lose control, you have to kill me. Jake stared at her, horror in his eyes. Don't you dare ask me that. And then a massive shockwave tore through the system as the rift widened further and something far bigger began to emerge. The stars themselves seemed to go dark. Asterisk.